I got to talk about the next piece of the Rock story here because, boy, it has been discussed forever. The DX parody of the nation. It's taking place to build for the next pay per view, fully loaded. Looking back, of course, there were some decisions made for this skit that we would never do today, but these were pivotal moments because this is a taped Raw head to head against a Nitro where Goldberg is beating Hulk Hogan for the world title, and this is still competitive. So it's at least compelling. People are interested, people are tuning in. Would we do it over again today? Absolutely not. But how quickly, from your perspective, could you see, boy, The Rock and Triple H, they're going to be great adversaries here?
Yeah, it was exciting. It was exciting because we got another one. We got another gimme. We got another one that's a no brainer. Triple H and Rock, two smart guys. They knew what the hell they were doing. A lot of the times they booked their own stuff. They invested in their own stuff. So it's almost like you want to, me sitting in my office saying, well, I don't have a problem with this because it's going to sell tickets and draw money. So, but it's like, wow, here we go again. We got something else that people want to see, and we got two talents that want to work with each other. So it worked out good, man. They had some classics.
Well, and one of those classics winds up being the longest match in Rock or Triple H's career up to that point. It happened at Fully Loaded. It's a 2 out of 3 falls match. And when I think about a 2 out of 3 falls match on a pay per view and a really long match on a pay per view, especially in this era, that feels like a Pat Patterson special. Would I be close?
Yeah, absolutely. Pat's fingerprints were all over that match because back in the territory days where you had 14, 16 guys in a territory in total, 2 out of 3 fall matches were not uncommon because they provided content. So instead of adding more guys to the card and raising your payroll, you could do it with a 2 out of 3 fall match, for example, and give the fans plenty of opportunity to see the top stars. And so a 2 out of 3 fall match was, I know, a Mid South back in the day. Cowboy didn't like them a lot, but we had plenty of them because it seemed like on some talents it just worked better. Some talents needed more in ring time to tell their story. It wasn't about high spots and a variety of Hispanic maneuvers with a unique name. It wasn't that. It was just wrestling, and that's how I always looked at it. It's wrestling. You have holds, you have counters, you have reversals. All that stuff, momentum. All these things have a role in that stuff. So, uh, I was eagerly anticipating when Triple H and Rock would finally go at it because it was going to be something special.
We go in this 2 out of 3 falls match to a draw. It's a 30-minute time limit draw. We're tied at 1 apiece, and that sets up a ladder match the following month at SummerSlam. Now, this is a long time ago. This is 1998. This is before Edge and Christian and the Hardys and the Dudleys just changed the way we look at ladder matches forever. So at this point, the high watermark for a ladder match, people still would talk about WrestleMania 10, 1994, 4 years prior, what Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels did. And respectfully, I don't think the guys felt like they could top that one. So they went with a different type of ladder match, much more physical. And if you compare the two, they're not even close. But Meltzer dug it. Here's what he wrote in The Observer. The push of younger wrestlers was evident, with the ladder match being used as an attempt to catapult both Triple H and Rocky Maivia up yet another rung on the real-life ladder to greatness. Despite Triple H going in with a legit knee injury and the obvious comparison with the two Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon pay-per-view matches they couldn't live up to, and that it's unfair to compare anything with, the two put on a very dramatic, excellent ladder match which appeared to accomplish its goals, and from most accounts, Maivia came out of the event as the big star of the show. I want to take a timeout right here because this is SummerSlam 98, a real high watermark for the company, I believe this was the biggest SummerSlam, or maybe even the biggest non-WrestleMania pay-per-view in history. It had the Highway to Hell theme with Stone Cold Steve Austin, hotter than chicken grease, taking on The Undertaker. And it was a really special show in Madison Square Garden. But I did feel like there was a decision made that day. Whoever came out of that match with Rock and Triple H as the bigger star, they were going to be the next guy. Did you feel that way at the time, or is that something we romanticize with the benefit of hindsight?
Well, during that period of time, I'm not so sure that Austin was still the guy.
Oh,
Austin's,
for sure he was. I just meant the next in line for Austin.
well, okay, and that's a good question. I would tell you, Conrad, without being a wise ass, that was going to be Austin's decision.
Okay,
He had already made his decision.
got it.
Was Steve looking forward to working with Triple H? Absolutely, but not until his unfinished business with Rock had been addressed. Steve saw money in that program, and he saw matches that were safe, physical, told basic stories, and he wasn't going to let that opportunity scatter away. None of us, I didn't certainly believe or think of a three match saga, the trilogy. I didn't think of that, but they kept making it better, and those two guys kept wanting to work together. And I don't know about you guys out there watching and listening, but damn, it don't take, you ain't got to talk long to talk me into more Rock and Austin.
No, you do not. Well said.
So that's how I looked at that thing, Connie.
It's crazy to think though, the ask that we had of Rock and Hunter that night. Hey guys, we want you to go out and do a ladder match in the same building in front of the same fans who saw one of the most iconic ladder matches of all time, and they had to be different than. And The Rock, man, he gained some fans that night. There's no doubt. And when we get to Breakdown, which is the September 98 pay-per-view, it's going to be a triple threat cage match with The Rock taking on Ken Shamrock and Mankind. It seems like everybody's kind of a baby face at this point. Mankind's going to do his crazy elbow drop attempt on Rock from the top of the cage. Everything Rock does is getting amazing pops from the crowd, especially the people's elbow.
Yeah.
You and I haven't spent a lot of time talking about that. From what I understand, the story on the people's elbow is Rock tried it just having fun and trying to entertain the other guys at a house show. So he's popping the boys at a house show with this silly thing, but it got over. Maybe people dared him to do it more and more. Eventually he does it on TV, and boy, fans just ate it up.
Yeah.
But I could see how if you were a traditionalist or if you were old school, you might not like it. You might hate it. You might say, oh, this is hokey. It's cheesy. It's whatever. But what it was box office. What did you think the first time you saw it? And did your opinion change?
I waited until I heard the crowd.
Okay.
I let the crowd make that decision. If they're buying it, I'll sell it. If there were crickets, no noise, I'd just move on. So that's how you always the audio has so much to do with your commentary, what you hear, how you react to what you hear, et cetera, et cetera. So you just lay back and wait. I didn't know about the people's elbow until I saw it.
Right.
And but it worked. I mean, just listen. It worked. And the more he did it, the more it got over. And that's a mark of that's a good thing, because the audience generally, and back in that day and now too, have don't have enough patience, shall we say. And so I was just not going to be impatient. I was going to wait and see what the audience did, and then try to make it bigger and better.